Sort of wooden tablets hung up at the corners of the streets the evening before an execution, on which is pasted up a paper containing the names of the condemned persons, their crimes, and mode of punishment. The reason for so publicly announcing all this is that all good and faithful Catholics may offer up their prayers for the unfortunate culprits, and, above all, beseech of heaven to grant them a sincere repentance. And these tablets are brought to you that you may add your prayers to those of the faithful, are they? Asked Franz, somewhat incredulously. Oh, dear no, your excellency. I have not time for anybody's affairs but my own, and those of my honorable guests. But I make an agreement with the man who pastes up the papers, and he brings them to me as he would the playbills, that in case any person staying at my hotel should like to witness an execution, he may obtain the very requisite information concerning the time and place, etc. Upon my word, that is a most delicate attention on your part, Signor Pastrini, cried Franz. Why, your excellency, returned the landlord, chuckling and rubbing his hands with infinite complacency, I think I may take upon myself to say I neglect nothing to deserve the support and patronage of the noble visitors to this poor hotel. I see that plainly enough, my most excellent host, and you may rely upon me to proclaim so striking a proof of your attention to your guests wherever I go. Meanwhile, oblige me by a sight of one of these tavolettas. Nothing can be easier than to comply with your excellency's wish, said the landlord, opening the door of the chamber. I have caused one to be placed on the landing, close by your apartment. Then, taking the tablet from the wall, he handed it to Franz, who read as follows. The public is informed that on Wednesday, February 23rd, being the first day of the carnival, executions will take place in the Piazza del Popolo, by order of the Tribunal of the Rota, of two persons, named Andrea Rondolo and Peppino, otherwise called Rocca Priori, the former found guilty of the murder of a venerable and exemplary priest, named Don Caesar Torlini, canon of the Church of St. John Lateran, and the latter convicted of being an accomplice of the atrocious and sanguinary bandit Luigi Vampa and his band. The first-named malefactor will be Mazzallato, the second culprit Decapitato. The prayers of all good Christians are entreated for these unfortunate men, and that it may please God to awaken them to a sense of their guilt, and to grant them a hearty and sincere repentance for their crimes. Whoa, okay. I did not know that yesterday I would basically be describing what is happening in today's passage. Do I have a fear and insecurity that I've been calling it a traveletta instead of a tavoletta? A little bit. The thing is, between when I'm recording now and when I edit the episodes that have that word in it, I will have completely forgotten. Oh boy. So if I have somehow let tavoletta or tavolettas slip through the cracks and called them travelettas, please forgive me. And since we covered it pretty extensively yesterday, I won't do too much here, but the idea that is given here, quote, the reason for so publicly announcing all of this is that all good and faithful Catholics may offer up their prayers for the unfortunate culprits, and above all, beseech of heaven to grant them a sincere repentance. This is that political religious thing that I was talking about yesterday, where it's giving citizens a way to exercise their religion, and by exercising it, extending the church's power and influence over the people. The more they exercise it, the deeper they believe. The deeper they believe, the more power and influence the church has. But not a lot of new information here today. I guess really the biggest takeaway is that the information exchanged at the Colosseum between Dante and Vampa was correct, that not only did they have the people correct, but the methods of execution also correct. So what else do we talk about today? The extent of their crimes, one more than the other. Now, I'm not one at all to say what punishment fits what crime. I generally, as much as I love horror films, maybe there's some hypocrisy here, but I personally don't subscribe to executions. We won't go into that, but the punishments for each, the mazzallato, that's the mallet one, which I'm not going to relitigate, is going to Andrea Rondolo, who is the one who killed the priest, Don Caesar Torlini. Now, Torlini was canon of the Church of St. John Lateran. If my information's correct, this is essentially one of the most important churches in Rome, and historically the cathedral of the Pope, at least at this time. Now, the murder of a high society figure like that is very different than just being an accomplice of a legendary bandit. So the second Peppino is being decapitated, probably by guillotine. One seems far more, humane isn't the right word. Quick, just a quick, painless death. I mean, certainly not without fear, not without dread. I mean, Jesus, no one deserves to be killed with a mallet. Let's just say that, okay? I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Why are we even talking about this? You're forcing me to talk about this, everyone. No, you're not. I don't know why I'm accusing you. What else does this tell us? This tells us that the information that Franz heard in the Colosseum that night was accurate. So, to me, that means that Dante's money buys him authentic influence. He's paying someone to give him information. He's clearly taking care of that person, and therefore they're giving him correct and pretty extensive information that turns out to be true. That makes Dante a pretty dangerous man these days. Now, I'm going to ask the question, but 34 chapters in, I already know the answer. So I'm not even going to ask whether or not we're going to see these executions before the end of the chapter. We only have 2 episodes left, folks. And I know better at this point. But where will this end? I'm not sure. So join me here tomorrow for the penultimate episode of chapter 34. Holy cow. What a long one. 2 long ones in a row. So until tomorrow, I'll see you then. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.